What happened the night the whole barracks couldn't stop laughing? It started with a single snore, not the normal kind either. Private Simmons had this high-pitched squeak at the end of each breath, like a dog toy being stepped on. Lights were out, drill sergeant long gone, and we were all trying to pretend we were asleep. Then, squeak, pause, another squeak. By the third one, Jones lost it. He buried his face in his pillow, shoulders shaking. But once you hear laughter in a quiet barracks, it's contagious. Soon half of us were biting sheets, muffling giggles. But then Simmons rolled over and the squeak turned into something else. A low whistle, rising higher, like a tea kettle boiling. We couldn't hold back. Laughter exploded down the bay. Guys were kicking their bunks, covering their mouths, some even sliding onto the floor. The sound echoed against the cinder block walls until it felt like the whole building was on it. Of course, the worst thing happened. The duty NCO stormed in. Sergeant Parker, built like a bulldozer, slammed the door open so hard the frame rattled. "What's so funny?" he barked. We tried to hold it in, really did. But the second Simmons let out a squeak whistle combo that sounded exactly like a rubber duck meeting a police siren, Parker froze mid-yell. His face twisted. He turned his head, trying not to laugh, but then it slipped. One snort. That was it. Game over. The sight of our sergeant, red-faced and grinning against his will, broke every last bit of discipline. We howled until our sides hurt, tears rolling. Even Parker had to leave the room, muttering something about unprofessional conduct. But we all saw him chuckling on the way out. That's when things got worse. Or better, depending on how you look at it. Morales decided to imitate Simmons, exaggerating the squeak by blowing through his hands like a trumpet. Then Carter joined in, adding animal noises. Suddenly, the whole bay was a zoo. You had ducks, cats, cows, and one guy doing the most convincing velociraptor scream I've ever heard. By now, Simmons was sitting up, totally confused, wondering why 50 soldiers were crying with laughter over his breathing. The next morning at formation, we all looked wrecked. Red eyes, puffy faces, and sore ribs. Drill sergeant asked why we looked like we'd fought a war in our sleep. Nobody answered. Simmons just coughed, squeaked, and we lost it all over again. Even the sergeant cracked a smile before telling us to drop and give him 50. Worth it. That night became legend, retold at every chow line and field exercise for months. Even years later, guys still text me rubber duck emojis whenever we catch up.